Okay, we have a lot to discuss today with the release of Black Clover chapter 323. I'm talking the fact that Yami is a devil host now? Huh? Yeah, no, seriously. Yami is no longer human. He's evolving into something much darker. Also, I can't believe I'm saying this. We had a little look into the inspiration behind Yami's new sword, and yeah, let's just say that Julius's prediction is only becoming more and more true. Welcome back everyone, and it's time to go balls deep into the greatness that is Black Clover chapter 323.
Stop it. Get some help.
This chapter was a 10 out of 10 certified banger, and I cannot wait to discuss it all with you today. And yes, Adil has in fact had to be locked away for a little bit. You all know just how much he simps for Yami. And let's just say he got a bit too excited with his return. And so we at ABD have made the executive decision to banish him to the Shadow Realm for a week. Anyway, we begin the chapter with a flashback to the moments before Yami's arrival in chapter 322. We see both Vanessa and Gray working together to ultimately help heal their captain. However, Gray does mention that something is not right with Yami's body, and that it closely resembles the devil that possesses Asta. That is right. It seems as though we could soon be seeing Yami getting his own devil transformation after his body has been altered through the advent of Qliphoth ritual. You guys really thought that a literal ritual from hell that kills the person and drains their life force when it is done would affect Yami, the goat? You guys are really thinking that he should be weaker now, not stronger? Well, you're wrong. This is Yami. This is Black Clover. He went and pulled out that reverse ABD power-up card and said, "Fuck you, Lucifer."
That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
Seriously though, Yami's power level right now is just ridiculous. By using basic power scaling, we can begin to get an idea of how much this new devil magic of his has increased his power level. Previously, he struggled to face off against Dante, who was using 80% of Lucifer's power. Back then, he had to rely on Asta to assist him in defeating Dante, which, as we know, getting Asta to help you in a fight is basically just a cheat code. Had Yami been alone, I think it's safe to assume he would have struggled much more and possibly even lost. And so, by comparing that version of Yami to this new one, he was able to block an entire punch filled with killing intent using nothing but a blade from the actual Lucifer himself, 50% resurrected or not, highlights the immense amount of power surging through this new devil Yami. Considering all the other Magic Knight captains that got slapped up, I mean, we basically got 2 whole chapters of it, it's safe to assume that the current Yami with his new devil power scales as the strongest captain in the series. I don't recall anyone else showing the same level of strength to not only block a punch, but also survive it too. In fact, Yuna mentioned previously how one punch from Lucifer and it's game over. Yami, on the other hand, got up, had a little trip down memory lane, and then smiled, ready for round 2. My guy is the definition of built different, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit. Let's rewind back to the chapter. Just after Yami has finished being healed by the plot, Vanessa and Gray, William and Patry appear with Langris. It's here that Patry says he no longer has a grimoire and so he can't fight. That is because, if you had forgotten, Zagred stole it and took it for himself during the Elf arc. Seriously, what is the point of him anymore? He was brought back to life and saved and has since done nothing. When he finally has a battle to prove his worth, he says how he can't fight anyway?
You gotta be kidding me.
He's just a fancy Magikarp at this point. Like, can't he at least use his demon light magic? Come on, man, at least try and be helpful. William, on the other hand, also admits that he is mid and that he's unable to fight. This is what peak Magic Knight Captain looks like, ladies and gentlemen. William is actually so strong that he decides, you know what, this. I don't need to fight. Instead, Yami, take this twig and fight for yourself. But this is where it gets interesting. That twig from William is actually infused with all of his remaining magic. Its name is Blade of Mistletoe, aka Mistletoe, which is inspired from one of two things. One of which is, and boy am I gonna mispronounce this like mad, Hromundar Saga Grispana, a legendary saga from Iceland. And the second, the one I actually want to talk about specifically in this video, the story of the Norse god Baldur and how its origins closely resemble Julius's fatal prediction. The story of Baldur is a tale of a man so loved by everyone that his death was subsequently felt across all existence. Baldur was the son of Odin. He was loved by many due to his love for life and the joy he would spread to others. Now, immediately, the connections can be made that this sounds exactly like Asta. Tabata has even pushed it down our throats at a deep throat level lately.
What did he say?
We've had everyone declaring how Asta has changed their perception of him through his willpower, skill and determination, and how it's given him the merit required to reach the level of Wizard King. Even Seke has become inspired by Asta. However, the connections between Asta and Baldur only go deeper. Baldur began experiencing dreams of the mysterious misfortune that would one day befall him. Taken aback by the dreams, Odin went to the underworld to seek out more information. However, upon his arrival, he learned that the evil underworld had been turned into a giant banquet, awaiting Baldur's arrival upon his death. This is just like how Julius has predicted that Asta is fated to die too, and further adds to our theories regarding Asta being banished to the underworld at the end of this arc. However, as Odin had become aware of his son's eventual death, precautions were put in place by his mother that ultimately would keep him safe. It was made that nothing could harm him. Everything would just merely bounce off his body upon contact. You can't tell me that this doesn't sound exactly like anti-magic, right? And so Baldur lived happily, where it seemed his fate had been avoided. However, one day, Loki, the god of mischief, approached Baldur's mother and asked about the precautions put in place to keep him safe. That's when Loki learned that the only thing Baldur's mother did not make him immune to was mistletoe. Loki took this information and ran with it, making a weapon from mistletoe, giving it to Baldur's blind brother. Amongst many of the people, it had become a sport to throw things at Baldur to celebrate his immunity. However, Loki preyed on the blind brother who could not take part, and gave him the mistletoe weapon. The brother threw it, and it pierced Baldur, killing him. Okay, pause. That is a lot to take in. I know. And it seems crazy that I would even suggest that Yami would kill Asta, right? Well, let me explain. We all know that Loki was the one who created the weapon, and in many ways, you can also draw similarities between William and Loki. Loki is a god who doesn't feel like he belongs. He agreed a deal with a furious giant named Tyzi, who demanded Loki to kidnap a fellow god named Idun. However, in the final moments, Loki decided that he wanted to save Idun and received help from the gods to kill Tyzi. This shares heavy similarities to how William and Patry felt and how their allegiances conflicted between the humans and the elves, leaving them unable to decide what is right and wrong. Loki, of course, has the ability to change his appearance too, which further shares similarities between William and Patry, as they too could swap their appearances as well. And so, by William creating this blade to give to Yami, it follows the story of Baldur, who died by this blade, which in turn is one of the events which creates Ragnarok, the fateful event which destroys Baldur's home of Asgard. This also fits in with Julius's prediction, as Ragnarok in this sense will be the destruction of the Clover Kingdom, Asta's home. This ties into our theory from last week too, where we said how Yami, by combining his dark magic into this new sword made by William and all of his world tree magic, is essentially a mini tree of Cliffoth and has the possibility to create portals to the underworld. It is possible that Yami may accidentally open one and Asta will get sent to the underworld with it, and in turn will also release more devils into the world. Just like how Baldur died and was welcomed to the underworld, which resulted in Ragnarok. Right, now I get it, that was a lot to take in. Don't worry, I think that's enough for today about Asta's death. I think it's best we continue on with the chapter instead. You know, the fun stuff. But I do just want to remind you all that we have a video lined up using your guys' theories regarding how Asta will die. So if you want to get involved, make sure you head over to our community tab and leave your theories on our post over there. Also, whilst you're at it, don't forget to ding that notification bell so you don't miss out on the video once it goes out, as you may just be featured in it. But I do also want to quickly mention that this video is brought to you by Gamersubs. I can inform you all right now that Adil is busy drinking it in his cave. Isn't that right, Adil? Back to the chapter though, Yami tells William how he still hasn't forgiven him for all of that elf shit, but if they both survive, they should go for a drink together. And hang on a minute, do you see that? Is that a death flag? Okay, so Adil isn't here, so I can actually say that Yami might die without getting told I'm fired. After all, apart from his homeland, Yami's story is mostly all finished. He's acknowledged Asta by calling him by his name. We've seen all the Black Balls together now that Nacht is present in the story. And ever since the beginning of the series, all of the Black Balls have grown stronger. Yami is no longer required by the plot to push the Black Balls to evolve in the future, since the only thing that they really need now is self-reflection. The Black Balls are a family, and just like how Jiraiya's death was a monumental factor in pushing Naruto to grow, Yami will do the same to them. Anyway, I know you all hate the idea of Yami dying, so I'm not going to talk about that too much. Anyway, we finally arrive back into the present day where Yami is there blocking Lucifer's punch. However, he quickly knocks Yami away, telling him that he will deal with him later. Asta then comes in, but before Lucifer can land a blow, Zora and Sekre show up, blocking the punch using their trap magic and sealing magic. Meanwhile, Nacht tells Yami to leave, but he claps back saying, "Bitch, do you know who I am? I'm the one that saved your ass, now shut it." Nacht then goes on another rant about how he's prepared to die, and honestly, I think it's about time someone actually checks on this dude, because he spoke about, you know, game ending himself a bit too much now for my liking. This has got to be like, what, the fourth time now? There was once against Asta, once against Nama, once against Dante, and now Lucifer as well. My guy is just desperate to die. But unfortunately for him, he is in Black Clover, so it's never gonna happen.
We don't do that here.
But the optimistic approach of Yami actually reminds Nacht of his former self, before the tragic death of his brother Morgen. Nacht says how it was him who took Morgen away from Yami, which is why he can't allow Yami to die trying to save him, because Yami is Nacht's precious friend. Yami tells Nacht that from now on, he will live his life as Morgen did and save others, and that besides, you don't need a reason to save a friend. Ah, my heart, man! Yami, I love you. I don't care. I don't even care anymore. Send me to the Shadow Realm with the deal, okay? It's worth it. Anyway, these words resonate with Nacht, who then has a flashback to him, Yami, and Morgen. One where Morgen tells the two of them that they are very much alike, even if they can't admit it, and that Yami may in fact be a better partner for Nacht than even he is. By the looks of it, Charlotte might have some competition, if you know what I'm saying. Anyway, Morgen was the moral Jesus between him and Nacht, always doing the right thing and loving everyone as well as being loved by everyone, which certainly reminds us of Asta, thus explaining why Nacht remembered his brother when he saw how Asta speaks and acts, along with Yami too in this chapter. But it is at this moment that the two smirk, as Nacht tells Yami that he can't act childish forever, to which Yami responds, "Boy, I can do what I want. I may be a man, but I will always have the heart of a kid." Yami then does point out a pretty key detail, as he does just remind Nacht, casually of course, that the literal king of hell is just over there. The two then stand beside each other, ready to fight side by side against Lucifer. In many ways, both Yami and Nacht are two sides of the same coin. Morgen joined the Magic Knights and lived to protect the people of his kingdom, whilst Nacht rejected that kind of life, as he desired only to live for himself, and thus did things that many didn't approve of, making him the target of people's rejection and avoidance. One day, not too long after Nacht had received his grimoire, a rumour had begun to spread that a strange foreign mage had come to their kingdom and received a grimoire matching his strange and unpleasant magic. Out of curiosity, Nacht went to meet this person, who was none other than Yami Sukihiro. Yami and Nacht seemed to be on the same wavelength, and thus they got along very well. Because of their similarities, they both found themselves doing bad things around town, but not quite bad enough to be arrested by the Magic Knights, of course. They knew their limits, and at that point in time, didn't surpass them. In the end, the two of them ended up joining the Aqua Deer Magic Knight squad, or the Grey Deer as it was known back then when Julius was the captain. However, Nacht became responsible for the death of others out of his own selfish desires when he summoned Lucifugus, including his brother Morgen. This is why Nacht states that he hates the surpass your limits ideology that the Black Bulls use, as he himself hates everything that he has done and what it represents. This perfectly fits into the theme of the Black Bulls and one of Black Clover's core themes of duality. Yami is someone that was rejected due to racism, and every other Black Bull has experienced something detrimental which made them an outcast. Yami had the goal in mind to create a squad of misfits that could bind together in their issues from society to resolve them with each other and surpass their limits, which they have done. Thanks to Yami, their problems have become their strengths. The two of them went their separate paths. However, it's now that they have united together again, accepting the inner childish nature within them, saying that it is time that they play with Lucifer for a bit. Now, if you guys want to know how and why Yami recruited each member of the Black Bulls into his team and why he created it, then make sure you check out the video on your screen right now. Trust me, you're gonna love it.